Well, good to see people watching the BMW and Mercedes videos still, and I'm well on the way to 1,000 subscribers. So this one's just a little upgrade on the 118i. This car came with a huge spec. You might see some of the other videos. We've got the M Sport steering wheel, seats, door sills, wheels, bumpers. The one thing, for some bizarre reason, it doesn't come with is a cruise control. So that is a retrofit. There's a few other videos. I'm going to see how I go on this car. So the two things are the physical and then the coding. So for the physical, I've got this kit here. So I bought this in a couple of different bits. I got the steering wheel switches and the rotary coupler from one eBay sale, and the column cowl from another. I'll put the prices up. I paid for those second hand. I got them from the UK while I was over on a trip. And hopefully what is worth looking out for is this has got the rear wash wipe, which you don't get on the E90. So this is a E82 switch gear, which means I don't need to swap it. And on this side I've got the cruise control all ready to go, already mounted on the ring. The only thing I'm not 100% sure on is how this rotary coupler is. So you can check these. So it's got this lock pin here, and that will lock it in position, stops it turning when you take the wheel off. What you can do is check this. So that's one rotation, and that's 1 3/4 that way, and back to 0, and then the same the other way, 1 3/4, read up to 2 that way, and back to 0 position. So that's important. If you get that wrong and you turn the steering wheel after and this coupler isn't centered, then it will wind the spring up inside there, which is just a foil for transferring the signals through to the switch gear, and you will end up with a ripped coil in there, and that means none of your airbag or lights will work, or buttons on the steering wheel. So it's a bit, you can pull them apart and check them. There probably is other ways of doing that, but that's just a good test. A bit like your tape rule, you can actually feel the free movement, but I will be putting the one off the car on if it fits on there and I don't get into any trouble. Okay, so let's get started and see how we go. The top cover off. The easiest thing is put your finger up here, just above the steering column adjust lever, and you can push on the end of the top cowl, just on this piece here. That'll pop the back up, and then you can work your way around to the front side on the left, and then pop the right side off. And then the next thing you want to do is just pop off the cover using these 4 little clips here. They should just pop out. I don't know if I can do that one-handed. There we go. And the same on this side. And then the top cover should just lift out. I'll put all the part numbers up later. So I'm just going to leave that flap on. That's attached to the cluster. Leave that out of the way, and we can get on with the bottom half. You just have to get these clips, this little clip here, I'll show you on this side. It pulls outwards, away from the column, and then these 2 clips then pop down, and you should be able to remove. Get this side off. The lower cover. And get that out. Okay, that's those 2 off. Now the reason I'm taking those off and changing them, if you look on the side, there's only one hole for the indicator stalk, whereas with the cruise it's got this little insert piece here. I'll also put the part number up for that, and the cruise goes in the bottom there. Okay, let's keep going and see how we go. Next, to get the wheel off. Bag off with the dreaded little clips. So the way I found this worked for me was push up till you feel the steel, then rotate the screwdriver forward so you can feel behind the steel, and then you should be able to feel the spring, be able to push that in. And behind the bag, I'll get this off in a moment, just rest that there, just show you that on this side. So push up against the steel, feel behind the steel, and then you can get on the spring. And it is tricky, it's easy to miss, and then you've got to get it in quite far, go that far. So most people use a screwdriver. It looks like a round rod is kind of designed to go up that slot, and that's the angle you're aiming for, straight towards the steering wheel nut. Okay, we'll get this airbag off. I've got the battery off, by the way, so didn't want to risk airbag in the face, and we'll get the wheel off and go to the next bit. So unclip the airbag. We do that by lifting these two little plastic clips up and out, and that allows the green and the black to come through from the bag. This bag's been replaced as part of the Takata recall. Sadly, it doesn't have a date on there, although I just checked the VIN on the website and it has been recalled. Interestingly, there's an 18 date stamp just here, but I think they didn't change the cover. Maybe they just changed the centre unit. Anyhows, undone the steering wheel nut. That's a 16. That was super loose, so not too impressed with that. Might just tighten that up a little bit tighter, and we should be good to go. And there is just down there, a bit hard to see, there should be a little mark showing the centre line, but I'm just going to get a marker pen and mark that up so that we don't lose the calibration of the steering wheel. I'll just whip that off carefully as well. Okay, and we're slowly getting there. Now we do need to undo these two clips, so both of these are clipped to the clock spring. So this grey one for the airbag, and there's an earth wire there coming down here, and this black wire for the steering wheel switches. I'm going to need to do this all again because we're going to have to address this paint peel on the rubber paint at some point, but at least we won't need to do the steering gear then, and we know what we're doing. Okay, so we'll get the wheel off and get the old switch gear off. There's these screws here. I was going to check what they were. I think they're T30. Let me just check on the driver. T25. Okay, so there's 4 T25s there. They're just plastic threads, and just thread into the block there, and now this pack should come off. I'm just going to lift this off and undo these clips and show you what those clips look like. Pack, and that's there on the column, and we're just putting on the rotary coupler or the clock spring, and just had a couple of care points. One, I was a bit concerned that the old one would be a different part number to the new one because of the extra wires, but if you look here, the 55702 and the 55702, so these are exactly the same part, which is good. So I'm going to use the one that came off the car. And then one more care point that just caught me out a little bit is when you put the clock spring back on, this mounting ring has to be lined up with those two little hooks there. Sorry, just showing the camera in the wrong place. Those two little hooks there, you can see there's quite a few options where this can go. It's not connected to anything, it's just a spinning ring. And then on the back of the clock spring, there is this one high point hook here, and that one will engage in that hole just like that. And now the clock spring is nice and loose. That was, if you put that in wrong, this will be stiff. It'll be pushed down here by those screws, and you'll get into a whole load of trouble. Okay, so I can get these Torx 25s back in there. They just screw into magnesium, so just go careful on putting those back in, not torqued up too tight. And then once those are in, then I'll get these connectors back on. So just looking at these two connectors, two 6-pin connectors. This one's got a little clip on the side, and this one here is the old rotary one. You just got to push this button in on the back here to get that to clip out from inside the clock spring. Okay, I'll get that back on, and then we can get the cowls back on, I think, before we put the steering wheel back on. Just check everything fits and get the steering wheel on, and before we tighten everything down, we'll just do a quick check that we've got all functions. Some people reported they lost their indicator function, I think, or their wiper function, so I'm not sure how I'm going to go there. Otherwise, might be putting this all back as original. Let's see how we go. Upper and lower cowl back on, and all the switches in, and the cruise switch ready to go. One thing that was interesting was, whilst the bottom cowl and this insert are unique part numbers, the top cowl is the same part number, so it just clips over the top there. So I will be hopefully getting to sell the old parts and see if I can get my money back. And one thing I have heard, depends on your height, I'm not too high, but some people have said this does get in the way of your knee if you've got very long legs. Depends where you have the seat, I suppose, but for me that's going to be fine. Okay, so let's get the steering wheel back on, get the airbag back on, and see what warnings we get on the diagnostics. Didn't get quite right earlier, so you might see in there there's a little slot for the steering wheel, and there's a little mark, and you don't need to mark them because there's only one way that this wheel will go on to the shaft, and then I'll just get this wheel nut torqued up. So as well as that, I've still got the battery disconnected, and I can put these clips back in there. So the clip for the airbag and the clip for the switches, and then another day we'll be deciding what to do with this insert. Got the part number here. What's nice about this insert is it's got the M badge on it, so don't really want to lose that effect. We were debating one option would be just to peel the paint off, because under the paint it's just sort of flat plastic, but the other option would be paint it matte. I know a lot of people had tried that and had mixed results. Okay, let's keep going. Clip the airbag back in, so the connectors are back in. It's alright, the airbag switches are in, and then just one big push and the airbag's good to go. Okay, let's get the ignition going and see what we got. The error we have got, which is an interesting one, is the ABS. The ABS. If I put my foot on the brake, you can see the red light's the handbrake, orange light's the warning, and we've got kind of an ABS there. So just running through the diagnostics and just seeing if we can see what it is. So when that comes up, I'll just flick through a menu and show you. So not too unexpected. The two faults I've got is steering column switching coding required and steering angle sensor calibration required. And then that was on the DSC, and then on the driver's side footwell, probably similar. Now those are just the light warnings we've already got. Just trying to sort out the CAN readings on those. I think that should be it. Oh no, junk JBE. Just a fault on that. See what that one's got. Auxiliary water pump, which is weird because I didn't think we had an auxiliary water pump. It says not present, which I don't think it should be. Is there one more? No. Okay, so bit of digging into getting those codes reset, and then we should be good. And so that really probably just affects the DSC for the stability control. Not sure why it plays up on that. Put the new sensor switch on there, obviously it's got the new inputs, so maybe it's just unhappy because they're not coded in. A little bit of reading and we'll come back and see if we can fix it up. One interesting menu I did find was this one, which is in the DSC, where you can actually test the steering wheel switch. So I can go one touch down, one touch up, one touch forward, one touch rearward, and axial button. So that's the 5 switches. So I was just going up and down on the switch there and getting the feedback there that it's all fully connected, which is great. Then I can also check a few other things in there. Multi-function buttons, select all, view data. So it's just going to take a little while. Here I should be able to test all 8 buttons. So push to talk. Oh, they're going to operate the radio. Okay, so search button. Yeah, so I won't go through all of those now, but just good that in this diagnostics, if any of those switches are playing up, you can go through those and see what's happening. Not sure what else I can do there, but we'll keep looking for that fault washer wiper. So same again, view data. Now these are the new stalks and switches, so it would be good that we knew that those worked. Okay, I think we're all good. Okay. So that was a little unfortunate. We just had everything together nicely and I just tested the cruise control when I went to test the wipers, or the wiper function, and realised a slight difference. This one, the new one, has got wash wipe only, whereas the old one has got wash wipe and rear wipe. And we've got a 5-door car with rear wash wipe. So we missed a trick there. So we'll just be opening up these units. You can just pull this clip, the little clip here. I'll take that off in a minute. You can take this clip off and you can actually swap out the switch packs. So I'll be putting either the cruise control switch pack into the old unit, or, yeah, it's probably going to be easiest, or the rear wiper unit into the new pack. So I think we'll just go with the cruise upgrade for this one, see how we go. Okay, so let's try it all again. Okay, so to fix that problem, first of all you need to take off this top cover. So that's just clipped on, and that will lift off just like this one and expose this ring. You can't take this ring off unless you take this little clip out. So that's that little clip there. That's a little light guide for the steering angle sensor. So undo those two screws, T7s. Then very carefully you can prise out these clips here from the center and pop that disc out. So now you're exposed to the PCB. Take out these 3 screws, they're quite long, T7s again, and ease the circuit board up whilst pushing the foils through. Those foils will come through and expose this little connector where you have to push the black clips up, and then finally to get the connector out you just have to push back on this black clip. A bit hard to see, there's a black clip there. Just push on that to get that out. Okay, so we have now salvaged the old connector out and the old wiper switch. We're going to take the wiper switch out of the old unit and put that into the new unit, and the reason for that is this connector here is not on the old unit, so there is no connector for the circuit board under here. You'll see that when I get that out. So let's go a bit further. Just take this one off with the rear wipe and get it onto this board. So looking at the old and the new PCB, so the boards are pretty much exactly the same on the front side, so no big difference there. On the back side, and I can't flip this one over because it's still connected, but what is missing is just here is the connector for the cruise control. So we've got the connector here for the wiper stalks, and we've got the connector here for the sorry, this is the connector for the indicators, this is the connector for the wiper stalks, and that's the one that we just disconnected on this board. So we'll get this wiper stalk that we've just salvaged from the old unit and we'll get that onto the new board, and we'll see if that works when we get it all plugged together. It should do. If this board's smart enough to take those inputs and they're already on there, then there's no reason why it won't just take that one extra input from that one extra switch position. So everything will be the same in these, just the mechanics will be different, and the screen printing on there to stop that rear wiper function. So you can see that there on the top of the stalk. Front wiper wash only, front wiper and rear wiper on, off and wash. We've got the cover back on there, got the PCB back in, got the sensor light guide in, got the wheel clipped back in carefully, and now we can put the cover back on. And now we should be good to go on that unit. So we've got the wash, front wash, rear on off and rear wipe. So before we put this unit back together, which is the original one from the car, we'll put this one in and just check it works, and then put this one back. Okay, let's get this back in, see how we go. The next stage, and this is a bit of a gamble really. The way it worked out so far is I put the new stalk onto, sorry, I put the whole SZL into the car and tried that, and whilst I could get the new switch to talk to the car, neither the indicators nor the wipers would work at all, so that left it a little bit undrivable. So I did think then I'd put it back as it was and just have a think before I did coding, but I did get a little carried away, and so I did an experiment. So I've taken the original board, so this is the original board from the E87, and I've taken the board from the E90, and it's a bit of a hack here. You can't quite see what's going on maybe, but I've taken off, what I did notice was the boards are identical, so it's only the coding that's different between these, but there was 3 connectors on this board for the three switches. So there was a connector here, here and here for the indicators, the wipers and the cruise control. And I did make a real meal of it, but I was taking these connectors off. I was doing a bit of desoldering and I managed to melt 2, but I did get the one off. What I did find out is that 2 of them are 9-pin, one of them's 8-pin. The 8-pin was the one I got off the most successfully. So I did manage to get this 9-pin off, and probably just worth showing you there. It's a bit hard to see. I did solder the 9-pin onto this original board. So if this works out, what I'm hoping is that the board already supports the cruise control and it just needed the connector on there, and it'll still talk to the car and the wipers and the indicators will work. Worst case, it's all toast and I've got to go and find a new one of these real quick, otherwise we're going to get a bit stuck. But here's hoping. Certainly can't go backwards now, so definitely can't put the E90 board in because I've taken those connectors off and they're not going back on. But let's get this assembled. So just in case you do want to go this far, so this board, these little foils go in from the back. You put this board down just like that. Next thing to go on, not sure what I put in the last video, is the steering angle sensor disc, and then the steering angle sensor light guide. I think I did talk about that in that last video. That just goes on top of that little LED there, and then these 3 screws go in the corners. So we'll get this assembled, get this back in the car, and then we'll find out whether I'm crazy or lucky. Okay, fingers crossed. We've got the clock spring and the switch pack back in. So this will be the test, whether the indicators and the wipers work, and then we'll see if we can test this cruise separately. So, moment of truth, ignition on. Obviously going to get airbag fault and the like, and we'll see how we go with the indicator. Okay, so we didn't break anything. That's a good start. Nice. So we'll get this back together and then we'll see if we can work out coding for this cruise. Seen people make a real mess of this, so just worth showing you. These 2 pins clip together. This is the guide pin that unlocks it from the column. Same on this side, these 2 round pins. This plastic needs to go up, and it can be really tricky and stiff, but you just have to give it a good shove up, and then the bottom half's on. And then for the top half, always worth taking off the clips off the back there. So I'll get those on first, and then I'll show you how the top half goes together. And these clips, these round clips again, there's just 2 at the front and 1 at the back over there. So just get that one lined up, get these ones lined up, and it'll just clip together lovely. And when you take it apart, please don't put a screwdriver in here. You really don't need to. All you need to do, I think I talked about it earlier in the video, just get that trim tucked in, down the back down there, is put your finger, pull the lock down, get your finger and push up here, and you can pop the top cover straight off and then work your way around. No tools required. Okay, let's get this wheel back on. Airbag back on, and hopefully this time, I don't know how we'll go, but we'll get this back on, get the power back on, and then see if we can get the diagnostics going. It is a bit annoying, I've still got to do this steering wheel, and I did look the price up of this. It's an unbelievable $250, about £130 maybe, and I'm just going to have to do some more research because there's got to be better ways of respraying that and getting that looking tidy. I know lots of people have tried, and I particularly hate rubber paint myself, so we'll see how we go. One idea would be to take the M badge out and try and get it back in. The other idea would be to try and mask around that real carefully with masking tape. Anyway, we'll see. That's for another day. Let's keep going. Okay, so let's get started with the diagnostic. So we'll enter diagnostic. We'll go for BMW. We'll go for auto selection. This will now read the VIN, which we can now accept. And then after it's had a little bit of a think, it'll pop up with the vehicle information. There we go. So 118i N46 in an E87 European and 2009, and the vehicle identification number. Okay, reading the vehicle data. Okay, finally we got through to diagnosis, service and advanced functions. So we'll just run a diagnosis auto scan and let that run through all of the ECUs just to look at the faults. Okay, just the one set of faults there on the dynamic stability control. So we'll just jump in there and read the codes. And sure enough, we've got the present steering column coding required, which is good. And interestingly, that means the chassis fault's gone away. So things are looking up. Okay, let's see if we can try this and program this one. So going back out of the diagnosis, into the service. And here we can do the couple of options. I think it's under chassis suspension for steering angle sensor. There we go. Steering angle adjustment. So let's get started on this. Okay, so there's the instructions, just saying that we need to calibrate the steering, saying the run flat must be initialized. Okay, so sensor matching. Do you want to cancel? No. Front wheels are set to straight ahead. Okay. Steering wheel horizontally. Okay. And the adjustment step starts. Now this will just keep spinning its wheel, I think, unless this time we're successful. Okay, so just wrapping this video up, and sorry I didn't get the bit in the middle. I did take it to my local BMW independent and they stuck it on the scanner, and quite surprisingly for me at least, they managed to program the cruise. So now we have the cruise working. So it does all the normal functions, so the resume, the cancel, push forward to lock into a speed and or reduce, and pull back to lock into a speed and or accelerate, all as per the factory instructions. But what I don't get is I don't get anything on the combi meter to show that it's actually in cruise. So no speed locked in, no lights, nothing. You just have to rely on the sensation that the speed's locked down. So overall took quite a long time to get this done. A couple of combi stalk changes. I had to get those twice because of the wrong wiper first of all, and then the second one wouldn't program, but I did get it programmed and the job is done. So we do have cruise on the E87. Okay, so ask any questions away in the comments, and if you want to give it a go, you should be successful. If, like me, you get a bit lucky. Okay, thanks for watching and see you in the next video.